Hey, welcome to the this is a part of the Sweeterman Pod edition. We call this the Millennial Minds.
Freak your mind.
This part of the segment is it's different from the episodes that we normally do. This is for kind of like more of the serious shit. Cause I know when you listen to the pod, it's more loose
It's more
back.
jokes.
It's more
a
casual,
lot of
you
casual
know.
jokes and everything.
And I stay talking about relationship shit all the time, but this one we're actually gonna get a little bit more serious and kind of talk about
a lot, diverse topics.
yeah, just real shit that people
Absolutely.
people think about or maybe have a opposing mindset to, and like just kind of check people on it a little bit, right?
Yeah, just make it more aware to like everybody thinks about topics like this.
Exactly. And again, for this one too, on the Sweeterman podcast on IG or even on YouTube, be sure to message us, and we can do Millennial Mind on pretty much any topic. And this is when you just want to pass all the bullshit and get to the real topics.
For sure.
Yep. So for the first one that we're gonna do today, I'm gonna let it my man Will lead it off and kind of talk about it.
So what I wanted to talk about or tackle is single parents in our like age group. Single parents come from sorts of places, whether it's later in life or early in life, and us being in our mid-20s, I just wanted to tackle that subject. So I want to get into what's a single parent. It could either be somebody who's divorced, somebody who maybe had a slip up, maybe someone was unplanned, maybe the spouse or the husband or the wife or whatever you may call it has been deceased. So that could be certain areas that someone can be a single parent. And I did some independent research, and and don't do that, Slade. And I went through a bunch of like TED Talks. I did a lot of forefront as far as like a lot of my friends have been in a situation that they have been single parents, and I've brushed up on the part that since 1950, there's been a huge increase in single parenthood. That's been more common. It's almost not a practice, but it's been
A trend?
a trend. I say it's been a trend.
Do you think that maybe because I think the 1950s more of the
Baby boomers.
well, yeah, the baby. I think it's a different time where the mindset was, the morals were get with one person, be with them, raise a family and kids, grow old together, retire. And now I feel like we're kind of in a new wave, right?
Yeah, we're in an internet-based society.
Yeah, like I feel like relationships aren't deemed as much value as they used to be held back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I look at relationships now, most people don't take it that serious. It's more about more people are more worried about what kind of couple goals that they can take on like Instagram or on social media versus
what can I post to make this facade or this like very
like there's no more just having a good time with each other and
it's just you and I in this you and I against the world is more like what can you and I post so we can show the world.
And I think it's more becomes more about an image thing. You know how they say sometimes was it love and what's it called something in paradise hell in paradise, you know what I'm talking about?
Hell in paradise,
you know what I'm talking about? What is it is
Love
it love
in Paradise?
No, it's not Love in Paradise.
No,
but whatever, it's whatever, it's like some kind of hiccup in paradise and no, but it's like it's people. There's an image of on the outside on the social media that people are showing like how happy they are, but inside it could be like it's they're chaos. They might be really fighting all the time, but in the public they deem themselves as like happy.
Couple goals. Like this is we don't have no problems. Everything is cookie cutter picture perfect.
Exactly.
And that's not how this world operates. Like
exactly. And
we're the people and we go through things and we struggle through things and Another Day in Paradise.
Is it Another Day in Paradise? I think it's something else.
Something like that.
I think it's something else, but we'll touch on it another time.
Yeah.
That's here nor there. I guess the concept is most people don't really take relationships at a high value anymore, right?
Right. And that's the increase coming up. That's facts. You can look it up, yourself.
So what do you think about like the actual like impact on the child? 'Cause I know we're talking about single parenting, but really with single parenting, the biggest impact I feel like is on the child. or the children.
Absolutely, of course. It's always about the children. If you put yourself in a position that you're having a child, after that you're not thinking about yourself anymore. You have to think about the person that you're bringing into this world.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a very serious thing that I feel like people should definitely put into consideration and own up to it. You have a lot of experiences, you have a lot of things that you could give values to someone who, when you go, you have a mark in this world that's gonna take those same familiarities in those situations and those
But
things that you deem.
I guess my question is, how is that impacting them? Like for the child, being
They
raised by one parent, I feel like they have to grow up faster, right?
Yes,
So they have
yeah,
to.
they have to.
Not only is it just moms watching them maybe during the day, or like they kind of like switch shifts, like when dad gets home he watches the kid, and the
Yeah,
kid's
vice
constantly
versa.
being tended to,
It's
but with
always
a
being
parent,
tattooed.
maybe that parent is working all the time, right? So then
Yeah,
now the kid um, has to kind of start learning to manage their own time, or start kind of growing up at a faster rate,
yeah,
right?
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I feel like that kind of impacts a kid. Or for me personally, I know children that grew up in single parenting houses, where if they're the oldest child, they kind of played the second mom role, or the second
Yeah,
parent role, where they would have to then dictate, okay, well I have to watch, like, little brother, little sister,
yeah,
and
especially if there's siblings involved. They have to grow up at a faster rate. Like maybe like the kid is off of school, and that they tend to like their little
yeah,
brother
yeah.
and sister.
And I think that kind of takes away from their childhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's hard. It's really hard to say as an adult, but kids like are growing up a lot in an alarming faster rate.
Yeah, but I mean, I've personally seen people that have grown up in single houses where they were the oldest, and they've always kind of, you learn that they're more, they don't talk about their feelings. They kind of keep that
No,
bottled in, because
yeah,
no one's worried about them. They're too busy worried about
about
other
their
people.
brothers and sisters,
So they're constantly more focused on, oh, is this person okay? This person okay? When they're not even checking themselves. And I feel like that has an impact on them later in the future when they get in a relationship. It makes it hard for them to open up and kind of build a real relationship for themselves.
yeah, and that's the thing. As far for like the siblings and everything. We could talk about like maybe someone who only has like one child. They're impacted a little bit differently as far as like having other siblings involved. Kids usually have like who are only child. They have an increase in like peer pressure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they're trying to find value in others and their peers because they don't have that.
That makes sense.
They
Makes
don't-
sense,
yeah,
because I mean,
a hierarchy of like mother and father.
I get it, because I mean, what if you're, for example, if you're a single child in a home with like you're being raised by your mom.
Yeah.
You might go to your friends who, they might have like a dad, and they're gonna tell you, well, my dad believes this, or I think this, and you're gonna be more likely to be influenced by
By someone else.
by someone else's parents, or
Parents.
whatever. They might have more of a big impact too. You see what I'm
Or
saying?
whatever
So,
they deem value.
yeah. So I can definitely see kids like, and then also I think maybe there's also a wanting to be accepted factor that plays involved in this, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's part of the guidance.
I feel like there's an issue, and you start to build this complex where you start thinking, well, I'm not wanted by the other parent. Why did the other parent leave? And this is for cases for single houses where like maybe the other parent just upped and left or disappeared. It kind of builds an abandonment issue.
It could be abandonment.
Right, and so then you start to wanting being accepted, wanting to be wanted. So you might fall into a peer pressure group where you might not necessarily want to do those things, but you just want to be accepted, be part of a group.
Absolutely.
And as humans, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
So we always want to be accepted.
You always want to be around others for acceptance.
So
sure.
I can see why kids, can fall into that and build into like, peer pressure.
Yeah. And another thing is that single parents, like, they're there, they're providing, they're trying to have the best, future for their child.
Yeah.
As best they possibly can. And it could be anything, whatever their values are, they're building on that stigma. So it's a time versus money issue.
Yeah.
So you're out here, working very hard, giving everything that you deem possible to be best providing for your child, and maybe it kind of like takes away from the time that you could give as far as like intimacy or whatever, and that's very understandable.
I think it's hard.
But you can definitely find a balance. There's always balance.
You can find a balance,
everything.
but say if you guys are living alone, you have to make ends meet. You
Yeah.
might be working a double, working a
And then you might have to have childcare.
But see that can impact the child where they're not able to see their parents all the time. And I think it sucks in the short term because you got to think as a parent you want to be around your kids, right? So
of course, that's.
I think sometimes, but in the long run, I think kids do understand.
Yeah, of
When
course.
the parents are gone all the time
Absolutely.
or working, they understand later. So maybe in the beginning,
it's
child,
hard. Yeah.
you might be a little selfish and be like, "Why isn't my mom? Or why isn't dad around all the time?" But then later, as you get older, you start to understand, wow, they really sacrificed.
Yeah.
So as a parent, I feel like that's one of the toughest pills to swallow too, because now you're constantly thinking like, damn, my kid's gonna be like upset with me because I don't have the luxury to take them to the park. I don't have the luxury to spend that extra 15 minutes with them.
Yeah, they wanted to do something with like their other friends and they weren't able to because they make a time.
Yeah. So it's, as a parent, like it's a struggle too, and I know there's about finding balance, but that's kind of a key issue that
it's
I think
definitely key.
It's hard on both parties.
Absolutely. And I was looking through a TED Talk with a young lady. She was like 11 or 12. The biggest takeaway that I took of that one is she said the smallest things can make the biggest reactions, and it actually hit me like hard because what she was trying to say or what she meant by that is that little things can make the biggest like differences. Like kids are very aware of what's going on around them, even though they're like in like a different like mode that we are. We're over here like being givers, and they're takers, but they know like deep down they don't have it. They don't understand the concept of like trans value, like materialistic things. They just care about time and emotions that like are valuable to them.
So what are you saying? You're saying that the parents should make some time or like some kind of gesture.
A gesture, yeah, like a small gesture, like because parents like want to like, for single parents I've seen, they want to like overcompensate, like I want to give you the best like book bag, or I want to give you all the best lunches, I want to give you a lot more. Saying. But like kids don't care about that. They just care about like little things. Like
you're saying that they would trade in those like the nice clothes or the nice gifts, if they can just get an extra like hour with mom.
Yeah, like I don't need you to give me like the best like Nike gear or the best like Adidas gear, but I would like maybe you cook my favorite meal that I talked about. Maybe we watch that movie that I know you hate, but we watch it together.
Yeah, or just show up to my my
dance recital, Little League, or anything that deems importance to that kid right now that is like materialistic, or maybe just like overcompensating something that you think that.
I agree. I feel like a lot of kids we hold it and we internalize that.
Yeah.
And like I think just the small things that matter. Like I think just showing up to like your game can make or break a kid in all the ways possible. Like
the things that they value or what is important to them is what should be focused on, and not what people think that you should be focusing on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I definitely get that. I feel like for me, just personally, like I used to get in trouble a lot in middle school, and my mom would always take me to detention and pick me up from detention, or have to talk to my teachers. And I know that sounds stupid and that it's my fault, but my mom just doing that for me always made me appreciate, like, she wasn't there just for the good times. She was also there when like I was in trouble.
She was in the fan.
Yeah, so it's like that kind of stuff. Like I've always internalized, like, yo, she's really like, and it's stupid now, but in middle school when you're young,
it's huge.
You're like,
you don't want to be there. You're over here like counting the hours.
Oh no!
You're looking at the clock.
I mean,
like,
I was getting my ass beat, but like,
well,
but
yeah,
like,
but
I mean,
I get my ass beat.
But the fact that like she was like, it wasn't like she was just showing up to like the honor roll ceremonies and stuff, like just the good things, but she was also there through everything. So like those kind of things always impacted me in my growth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's important. That's very important. And we know that. So why like kids like before us like know that they're one and the same. So as going on, I've seen a couple like researches, and as far as like what I see that's being a big stigma is for boys, that there's researches that say that boys can be more idled and more unproductive in their life, which is that's not always the case, but there's research that says that. and less satisfied in their life, which is not like a lot.
But do you think what do you think by less satisfied? Do you think they just fill a void, like something's
It's
missing?
like a void, or like they're trying to figure out themselves. Like people are always trying to figure out, themselves, and what's the best step next.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you're a little kid, you just see like, in the playground, or like when you get picked up from school, you'll see like their mom and dad, or they're like in like a, they get picked up and you're over here by yourself going on the bus going home.
Yeah.
Because like no one's there.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So it gives you like an underwhelming.
I think
feel
it's just more of a questioning yourself, like why wasn't
Yeah,
I
it's
good?
just it's like kids just being reflective of what's going on.
Like, but what's like why was I not good enough to have both my parents in my life? And I feel like that's sometimes the struggle for kids they start to grasp. But it's they start to blame themselves when it's really not them. It could have been anything.
It could be anything. Yeah, it could be something that was out of their hands.
Yeah.
But sometimes it works like that.
And I think that's why with like girls, like one thing that does happen, I know we joke and we'll say like the daddy issues, but
right.
I mean, but that's a really
it's really like it's like almost an abandonment issue.
Yeah, I think when you have someone leave your life, like especially for women, when like the male figure in your life is absent, a lot of times girls will fall into these relationships with a dude that really ain't shit. But they just
maybe feeling undervalued in themselves because of their situation.
Yeah, but then they lower their self-esteem.
Yeah, that should not be the case. Which I do not want women to never do that shit.
So that's what I'm saying. But then they fall into these relationships where they feel kind of like, less, but they'll stay in it because that's someone they're going to tell themselves, well, this guy loves me. He wants to be with me.
Right.
Nobody else wanted to be with me growing up.
Right.
So then it kind of gets them stuck in these like abusive, shitty relationships sometimes, and it causes an issue,
Yeah.
Well, they're more likely to, hey, you know what, this bothers me, but I'm not gonna say nothing because I'm not trying to like rock the boat.
Rock the boat.
I don't want
something that I don't know that I'm learning. I'm not gonna try to stop.
Yeah.
But and girls, a lot of like stigma goes on that as well. An increase in like teen pregnancies could be a thing. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, even like people who have both parents can have the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But also a lack of a male presence or female presence, regardless of like which parent is with the kid. That is a hardship on a girl, on a kid, like a child, like a daughter or whatever, and that could just lead to like, what's the value of a relationship? Because girls think differently than the boys do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's what ties in with what I was just talking about, where they don't know the value, so they start. Yeah. A guy that ain't shit is enough for them to be like, all right, like he's cool, he's good enough. Yeah. Versus like if you have that male presence where the dad's present and he's a great dad, you're gonna go, I want someone like my dad.
Yeah, you idolize someone.
Yeah, and you build a standard where you know how you should be treated. You could watch how he treats mom, and
you have values that you could bring to the table that like maybe that girl, you ain't shit. Like, you have these qualities that I don't see deemed that I've seen with my parents or I've seen with my mom and my father, or vice versa, my father and someone else. And you just like take from that.
Do you think also just for because I know we've been talking about kids, but do you think for like the actual single parent, do you think dating it's harder? Do you think it's more scarce? Because I feel like in our day and age now, like there are a lot of girls or guys that are single parents, and I think kind of getting back out there to date, I feel like one of their issues is they start to become insecure, because then I feel like by them having a kid, they start to worry about, well, are you sure you want to date me knowing I have this? I guess they might look at it as baggage, but like I think we're getting more progressive to the point where we understand, and like guys like me, guys like you, like we understand that there's more to it.
Absolutely.
I think if anything, it might build character, which shows, wow, like this person's able to balance her life and be able to like take care of her kids and prioritize them.
Absolutely.
I think that's important.
I think it's a huge plus if someone could do that.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it shows like guys. It shows like you take prioritizing lives.
Yeah, your child goes first, and I mean I've always respected that.
Yeah, that's respectful. Absolutely. You're thinking other than yourself. You're being mindful. You're providing.
You're growing up. You're
growing up. You're like growing up exactly. And I think that's a huge like actually deeming quality for a female.
I just feel like a lot of people that are single parents kind of worry like they can never be taken seriously in a relationship because they have kids, and I think that's
a stigma. That's a huge
that
stigma.
stigma needs to like kind of go away and like
die off.
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. I definitely agree with that. And there's benefits actually in single parenting. As far as that, I say like one thing is just them just being like having a relaxed state with their child because they're not thinking about anything else but them, providing for them. There's no other like there's dating here and there, but at the end of the day, you're just thinking about them and thinking about their them growing up and what they think about you and it gives you a huge bond between each other and you don't have to worry about like who's daddy's favorite, who's mom's favorite. I don't have to choose between who my dad or I'm a mama's boy or my dad's whatever. You're more reluctant. You have a bigger bond with that child, your child.
I agree.
Yeah, and another thing is like with people who have both their the mother and the father in their life, sometimes that in itself could be a problem because let's just say God forbid there's infidelity in between that that marriage or relationship or whatever between the mother and the father, and the kid has to grow up with that constant like bickering, arguing, and that could lead into like maybe God forbid domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And that is into this child's life, and they see that, and they take that into consideration.
But then there's also the flip side where if you're a single parent and then you're trying to date and then you're constantly bringing different guys around the kid, I feel like that has an impact as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think that's a little tricky, and I don't know how that works, but I feel like you have to start kind of building a system where there has to be a level, like a rule where
there's a level of respect between you have with your child and their upbringing and yourself.
Yeah,
giving
you
that.
You're
gonna have I think there's women. There's definitely a lot of women out there who definitely have that in a balance. Who definitely could differentiate. Like I can't have all these different types of guys coming through.
Yeah.
To giving like my child like this like sense of like who's this, who's that, why I don't understand. I don't know who this is. Who all that.
Yeah, I just feel like it impacts them in the future. Where they start saying, "Oh, well, this is how relationships work," and then you start to see like it's just a strenuous of different people in their lives.
Yeah, and and like I said, there's women who take that into consideration, men take that into consideration. There's others who don't. So that's something that we have to work on as a society, and just put like a kid first, and build off that. And I think another benefit is when there's an absentee, as far as like a female, male, or a mom and dad, whoever is taking care of that child, their family is heavily involved, whether it's uncles, aunts, whether it's grandparents, whether it's cousins. They have a bigger connection with the child, going forward than it is like, like a mom and the mom and dad, or we have our own house and we're stagnant. We're just taking care of this family
I see what you're saying.
As opposed to like, I'm a single parent who I'm possibly may need some help, and then the uncles come through, like the aunts come through.
Yeah.
Everybody around that family will come through and help out, and even like the other side of the family too.
Yeah, that's true.
That comes through, in perspective.
Yeah, because I can see what you're saying. Where if you become, more of like a standard household where
like a standard, like
they might break off and start building like their kind of
like they'll move to like another state and they'll just do their own thing.
Because like when I look at like my family, with my parents, like I'm not really close with my aunts or my uncles. I mean, I'm really close with my grandparents.
Right.
But that was just because like growing up, my mom made it a point to constantly make us spend the weekends with them. So like to build that, but if that didn't exist, like I'm not close with my cousins. I'm not close with my aunts, my uncles. So to me, that impacts me. So I can see how there is a benefit where now you actually kind of build these bonds with the family members
around you, and then as you grow up, the family grows up.
Exactly.
You have more cousins. You have a lot more like more support. You have maybe cousins that you never knew, and then just come through in your life. You're like, wow, that's what's up. And I think that's a very special thing, growing up, and I think that's a huge plus, because like I said, like you said, like it's a stigma like, you know, me and my wife or me and my husband are going to like grow this family together. It's us.
Yeah, yeah.
But like when it comes to a single parent, like it opens up. It's not a negative thing to have other people helping you out. Not at all. Because
I feel that.
you know we can't go to this world by ourselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
So yeah, and I mean,
I don't know. I feel like you know, if anybody, you know, any of our subscribers, you know, are kind of, you know, a single mom, single dad, like, you know, do hit us a comment, and if you don't want to make it public, you know, just hit us in the DMs and kind of tell us your story, you know, because honestly, like, I genuinely like to know. I like to know kind of the hardships you have to deal with and things that you have to do to get by, and you know, ways that you raise your kids. I feel like those kind of things you guys aren't credited on sometimes. So definitely, you know, hit us up about this, you know, and let us know.
Yeah, and you know, like we're guys that, you know, single like men who don't have any like children of our own, but we just know people who do, and we see what they are going through, and
definitely
these are things that, you know, that we want to like, you know, make aware that this is things that we like think about and want answers and want to reflect and just want to understand.
Definitely. I feel like yeah, you guys are you're getting your flowers, like, you know.
Yeah, you guys are doing a lot, and you guys are, you know, giving more to people that, you know, that don't understand now, but when you get older, you know, you're pushing more towards like the generations to come.
Yep. Any closing remarks? We're good? That was it?
Yeah, no.
Cool. Again, yo, just hit us in the DMs.
This is Millennial Minds.
Yeah, we call this Millennial Minds because, you know, we are millennials, and we're going to let y'all dig deep in our minds and how we, like, kind of combat our mindset and on our values and our views.
Well, and, you know, as you know, what we think about, you know, what millennials think about, things that we think deem to be important in our life.
So yeah. So sometimes it's not just gonna be us. We you know, we're gonna try to get T out here one time.
Yeah, we seeing you, T. You better watch this, man.
You know, maybe get Slade out here, get our intern JoJo out here.
Intern JoJo.
See. Yo, I'm telling you, we building and this team building.
We're trying to build and trying to, you know, be better. So.
Definitely like and subscribe and let us know how you feel.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know.
Take care.